Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony Hernandez. Today I'm going to be playing some chords that pretty much everybody plays in La Onda Tejana and Tex-Mex music. And a lot of times a lot of folks don't know what the chords are called. I've seen on many different feeds through YouTube how many musicians out there, especially in our Tex-Mex culture, are not familiar with a lot of the names of the chords. I'll be very forthright with you. At one time, I was that way too. I learned by ear. I really didn't have any formal training. I never went to school to learn how to play guitar. I was kind of forced to learn how to play at an age of 16. But through the years, some folks, they would drop little nuggets of information. And I'm very thankful for those folks that did that. Somebody that comes to mind right off the bat is Joe Reveles. The first time I met him, I was 18 years old, and we recorded at a studio here in San Antonio. He came up to me and said, "Hey, little brother, do you know how to play an 11 chord?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." He goes, "Come here, let me show you." And he was patient enough and kind enough to show me that chord. I'm very grateful for that. That was when I was 18. I'm 53 years old now by the grace of God. So he showed me that chord. It kind of looks like this. That's an A11 chord. The way he showed me was like this. When I heard that for the first time, it blew me away because I had heard it on many recordings and lots of stuff on the radio, but I didn't know what that stuff was. And so he was instrumental in teaching me that, and I'm so very grateful for that. Another person that comes to mind is Ernest Gonzalez. He is the nephew of Paulino Bernal. Ernest was playing with the Conjunto Bernal back in the 70s and 80s, I think up until the 90s. And when my parents were pastoring a church back in the middle to early 90s, they would have a revival outside and a concert, outdoor concert at the church that my parents were pastoring at. And I remember them showing up, and it was exciting to see a live band of that caliber come to our church and play. And I remember Ernest, he was another one that was very, very humble. And he said, "Brother, what can you play?" And I was 16, 17. I was barely learning how to play. And I didn't know how to play very well in the early days. And he's the one that showed me how to play this A chord. Very pretty A chord, like a major 7 chord, with a suspended 4. I was used to playing an A major 7 chord like this. He's the one that showed me how to play it like this. And if we wanted to make it minor, then all we had to do is slide it down half a step. Let me show you. And he was one of the ones that dropped a nugget and just blew my mind. Another one that comes to mind is Jonathan DuBose. Jonathan DuBose is the guitar player for Harry Connick Jr. I was playing at a very big gospel, predominantly gospel church here in San Antonio back in 2000, about 2008. And that musician is in another level, in another world of musicianship, and he was humble. And by then I had already been playing for a while. And with this, I'll say this to all my Tejano musician guitar players. We need to get out of the mold of just learning one style of music. We need to be able to be open to all styles and all genres of music. And Jonathan DuBose came from the world of black gospel music, a tremendous guitar player, oh my God, and a humble, very humble guitar player, and very animated. If you've ever met Jonathan DuBose, he comes out on TV, and I don't know if they still have the TV show, but Harry Connick Jr., the black man playing the guitar is Jonathan DuBose. And Jonathan was like, "Brother Tony, what are you playing right there, brother? I really love the way you play them chords." And I tell you, I didn't play, I was not anywhere in the realm of what he was at, but he made me feel like I could do that. So he would play stuff like this. And then stuff like this. From Jonathan DuBose. Dropped a nugget there, blew my mind. I had to stretch. I thank God for those times of playing in that church. I got to play with some very, very talented brothers and sisters in Christ at that church. A lot of black gospel music was played there, and it stretched me musically, and I learned a lot there. And so I think that we need to expand our ear to hear other people besides those folks. Of course, one that sticks out to me and has always had been a part of my life is Gilbert Velasquez. Gilbert, I met him when he was recording at SAS back long 25, 28 years ago. And he was actually recording some gospel music for my mom back in the day. And I met him, and I listened to his music. Really, we didn't have no choice back in the day because my mom was involved in the music scene there in Tejano gospel. And so I thank God for my mother. She was the one that was instrumental in all of us pursuing music. I'll be honest, when I was about 14, she wanted me to play trombone in middle school, and I didn't want to. I was a drummer when I was growing up, and I didn't want to play the trombone, but she says, "You're going to play the trombone or you're not going to be in the band." So I played the trombone very reluctantly, but at the same time it was good for me because at the same time I was learning how to play bass. Another brother that sticks out to me, Brother Alex Gonzalez, who's already gone to see the Lord already. He's already passed on to a better life, passed away a few years ago. And he was the one that showed me how to play bass when I was about 14. On a little bitty bass. It was probably about the size of this guitar right here. And he was patient enough to show me the notes on the scale and how to play and how to move with the music. And then while I was in junior high school, I also wanted to say a big shout out to my junior high school band director, Mr. David Hernandez, who he saw something in me and also my brother David that we could play. And he was very strict, but it was worth it. And from him I learned the theory of how to move on on a bass clef with a trombone, and then that all translated to the bass. I could hear it, and I could see it playing, and it just jived so easily. And my parents pastored a church, and we had brother Alex moved on to another church, then we got another one from a Bible school, and he had really nice gear. He had a really nice Les Paul guitar. He had a really nice precision bass, and he had all the gear. He was set up nice. I can't remember his name anymore. And he played at our church for a while, and I was playing bass, and he was playing guitar, and he was there for a short season. Then he had to leave. He went back to help his parents. I believe he was from Mexico, and his parents had a church in Mexico, and we were without a guitar player. And I remember my mom telling me, "Okay, Anthony, you're gonna have to play guitar." I'm like, "I don't know how to play guitar. I'm playing bass." So we're gonna have to learn how to play guitar. So I remember in the early years, in those times, I could play a basic G chord. I could play a D chord. And I didn't know how to play a C. I couldn't play a C to save my life. I didn't know how. I was lost. And like I said earlier, my mom was involved in Tejano gospel music, and all of her soundtracks had mostly no voice. It was all the instrumentation, so you could hear all of the instruments very clearly: the drums, bass, keyboards, guitar, horns, accordions, everything. So in those early recordings, probably around the 70s, Gilbert Velasquez was a guitar player. So what I would do is I would listen to all of the soundtracks without no voice and try to emulate what I was hearing. And I already said how old I am, 53 years old. Back in the day, I used to sit in front of a stereo with the big tall speakers back in the day, with a dial to turn the radio on and what have you, to fine tune the station, and the dual deck cassette player. And I would sit in front of a stereo for hours. There was times I would sit there for hours just to learn how to play a chord or learn how to play a lick. And that kept me out of trouble. The music kept me out of trouble because I really loved the guitar at 16. Like I said, kind of pushed to do it, but grateful that I've been able to do it. And there's been so many people that have been instrumental, like Gilbert, believe it or not, Bob Gallarza, and here more recently with Bob. Very thankful for him, for his trust and allowing me to record in some of his projects. You know, he's one that, okay, here you go, here's the music, and we're going to go. And I never read music for guitar, and I had to learn. And it was not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a challenge. But I figured if I wanted to play with that caliber of musicianship, then I needed to go home and do my homework. Very thankful for him. Another person that sticks out also is Mario Ortiz. Mario was the one that asked me to play for the Tejano Music Awards in the 30th annual Tejano Music Awards. And he's like, "Dude, you want to play?" I said, "I'd love to play, man." He goes, "Well, there's going to be music." I said, "Dude, I can't read the music, man. At that time, I couldn't read. That was 11 years ago." And he goes, "It's okay, man. Just learn the material, and you're going to be okay." Thank God, I bless the Lord above with his big ears right here, because I can hear the music really well. And it's been through a lot of trial and error and lots of patience. So this instrument right here will make you become very patient, because it takes patience to play this instrument. But thankful for him, because he was the one that told me, asked me if I would like to play, and also he told Bob, and then Bob gave me the chance, and then later on I got to record on a couple of projects for Bob Gallarza. Another guy that sticks out to me is Johnny Nakeda, the Natural. He's like on another level of musicianship. And I remember one time we were at a church, at that church that I was telling you about, that big church, and he was a friend. He was a friend of the drummer, and he brought him over, and he says, "This is Johnny. Hey man, nice to meet you. Blah blah blah. I've heard a lot about you, and very nice to meet you." And I said, "Would you mind playing my guitar?" He's like, "No, I don't want to do that." I said, "I don't mind. You go ahead." And I was blown away with what he did, and he did so much. I mean, he just could play like nobody's business. And I watched him play a chord, and I didn't think it was possible that a human hand could stretch that far, but it can. And he was playing something like this. I saw Johnny Nakeda do that. Tremendous guitar player. So some people say, it's no big deal. But to somebody who could not do it is a big deal. So, and you know, there's other people that J.R. Rodriguez is the son of Eleazar Rodriguez, brother Raul Rodriguez from Corpus Christi. Brother Eleazar Rodriguez, I believe he was in Michigan. His son J.R. Rodriguez was a guitar player. He's the one that showed me major 7 chord. It's a D major 7 chord. It's a D major 9 chord. I've gotten asked a lot, how come you play your chords all in a bar? That's how I learned it. I like I said, I never had formal training. Really, this is supposed to be played like this. But I never learned it like that, so I played a major 9 like this. To my advantage, I could also do this. Somebody asked me, how did you get that guitar to sound like that at the end of a song? And sometimes if you listen to some of the recordings that I've been blessed to play on, you'll hear something like this. So, and it just comes with practice. And you know, another person asked me, they said, well, why would you put all of your business out there? Why would you show people what you were doing? Aren't you afraid that they're going to steal what you can play? And the answer to that is, the gift of music is a gift. God blessed me with a talent to play this instrument. I played drums when I was a kid. I did that for a season. Then I played bass. I did that for a season. Then I played guitar, and I've been doing that since I was 16. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. And I've learned that if I want to get more, I have to give. That's the law of the harvest. You give and you will receive. That's a basic Bible principle. And so I don't mind sharing, because I understand that it's going to come back to me. And if it doesn't come back to me, it's going to visit my daughters. I got 2 daughters that are gifted in music. My son, he's gifted in math. He's working towards his degree, his master's in architecture. And I'm blessed. I'm very blessed. So to share and to give the gift of music, to be a blessing to people, is big. So I don't mind sharing. I don't mind helping out. I'll also say this. En nuestra raza mexicana, our Mexican roots, we're good about not wanting to share. We're like this. There's musicians that are like, no, well, I'm not going to show you. Okay, well, I'll wait for the recording to come out and I'll pick it up. Not a problem. And so it's better to give, and I'm a firm believer of that. And so I don't mind, you know, playing. playing and showing you what I'm doing. That's why I put the chord charts to the songs that I posted on my channel, so that way you can see what it is that I'm playing. And those chord charts that I put together, they're not the official chord charts of any of that music. That's the stuff that I hear, and that's what to me sounds what is being played on the recordings. And so if anybody thought, hey, that's not exactly what the recording charts are. I don't know if they even exist. But I took the time and sat down and listened to those songs. A lot of that music is what pushed me to play. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm very grateful for the Latin Breed, for those guys that put all of that music together. At the time when that stuff came out, Tejano was big. We're talking about the late 80s, mid 80s, when all of that stuff came out. And I really was blown away with all the instrumentation, the way the chords sound, the way all the harmonies would fit together, the way the bass and the drummer would be locked, the way the keyboard guitar player were adding flavor there, strings, and then the horns. And of course, Jay Perez, I mean, he was and is a beast at the vocals. God bless him. But that music was what caught my ear, and I thought, I want to play that stuff. Which is, now it's not hard, but back then it was very hard because I didn't know what and how to play. And but I wanted to do that, and so I tell everybody, and they ask me, you know, what would you recommend I listen to for Tejano music? And I'll always say this, and people that know me have heard me say, breaking the rules, born to play. If you can play those songs exactly the way it is, not what you think it is, sit down and listen to the chords. That'll stretch you musically. And those are the two albums that I listen to. Believe it or not, I use those albums to warm up with. Because it just gets me going. The other thing is another person that comes to mind when I'm thinking about music. Quique Esquivel from David Lee Viajes Musicales back in the early 80s when he was playing with him. He was probably one of my favorite guitar players. It was another style of playing Tejano music, and I'm very grateful for the way that he played. Jesse Martinez, another great guitar player, very good guitar player. I saw him in El Paso not too long ago. He was playing with a band up there, and I think he was playing with the Liberty Band, and he's a great player. There's a lot of them out there. And the other thing I will say is this: is as Tejanos and Tex-Mex musicians, we need to celebrate our people. We need to celebrate our culture. If somebody's doing great, you should celebrate them. It's important that we do that. Recently I heard a recording of a guitar player that played for Ladez. He recorded a song for them, and I asked him who was the guitar player. They said it was Tony Gonzalez. I believe he's from Colorado. And I sent him a text. I said, hey brother, I like the way you played, man. It sounded great. You know, and his response was, that means a lot coming from you. I'm thinking, well, I ain't anybody. You know, I'm just a Mexican strumming on this guitar over here. But to God be the glory. And I told him, I said, we need to celebrate everybody that's moving up, that's trying to do something, that can play, that's recording, and encourage them and let them know, hey man, you sound good. I like the way you played. Instead of, nah, but ese guy, he thinks he's all that, and we're the worst or the best about doing stuff like that. We never celebrate anybody. We're real quick to tear everything down, and we need to work on that. We need to be a blessing and encourage our fellow musicians When you hear something that they're doing, send them a text, give them a phone call. If you're on Facebook, send them a message.